and welcome to this ultimate guide for DIY latex paste. This is something we use in loads and loads of tutorials that we have, and we get questions daily on what type of flour we use, how much flour, how much latex. So we're going to put that to the test today, and we just thought that this ultimate guide would be a great way to answer all of your questions, hopefully, at once. So today we will put different types of flour to the test. We will try coloring the paste. We will also find out the exact amount for the ultimate mix. And we will take the paste to the next level. You'll see what we're up to later on, so keep watching. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know, it's a test, we'll see, but it's gonna be exciting. So, let's get going. So these are the different types of flours that we're going to use today. We have our go-to option, which we always use. This is a fine grain wheat flour. We also have a flour with a rougher texture. This is whole wheat flour. We have a couple of gluten-free options to try out. This is rice flour, almond flour, and corn flour.
And right about there, the microphone disconnected for a short while, so this part I will do. She will be back shortly. Anyways, we mix and start with 1 deciliter of liquid latex. And then we fill up half a deciliter of flour. We only mix down a little bit of the flour. We mix that well until it's a simmering mess. Then we pause for a second and add a little bit more flour. Just a little at a time. And we do this a few times until we have used up all that flour. So keep mixing and adding more of that flour. We're still only using that half a deciliter. Go on mixing, and I will leave you to Ellie again. See you.
So now I feel like we have the perfect consistency. This will be easy to smooth out and also easy to build up. And what I've used is 1 deciliter of latex and half a deciliter of flour, which would also translate into two parts of latex and 1 part flour. Yuck! So I will create 1 easy, small wound out of each and every paste that we make. And I will put them here, and we're gonna leave them overnight, and then we'll see how they turn out. But we're gonna start with this one, because this one I know how to work. To prevent my fingers from sticking to the paste, I dip this in latex. And I'll have to probably dip once and more. But this will make your fingers not stick to everything, and it'll go so much easier. And it'll be easy to smooth out. Vet inte vad jag ska lägga igen. Next up is the whole wheat. Let's see how this works out. Last time I did a little bit too much, so we're just gonna do half the amount this time. Yes. And then half a little. Might be good if you want to make a wound for a rough monster skin thing. Putting a little extra latex on the edges, as this one is a little bit harder to fade smoothly. It is time for rice flour, and I can right now say that this is a very, very fine, powdery stuff. So I'm thinking this won't lump and get. Ugh. Let's see if I'm right. This rice flour was super easy to blend into the latex. There's no lumps, super smooth, but I only used half the amount of flour, so this definitely got thick very fast. Out of the 3 different types we've used now, I think this one is the easiest to work with. It has a very smooth texture, which might be good, might be bad, depending on what type of texture you are looking for. But this is definitely the one that is the easiest to work with and the easiest to get smooth. Then we have the almond flour. No idea what this is gonna end up looking like. Let's go. So for this paste, I used the same ratio as the first 2 pastes I made. This one does feel very close to the whole wheat in texture. A little bit like sand, I think. And also a little bit easier to get a blend onto the board. Last but not least, we have the corn flour, and I'm excited to see if this translates into color in the latex and becomes a yellow, or what it will end up looking like. So there is a little bit of the corn flour left. I'm not going to put this in because I feel like it's thick enough. So this too feels very smooth and easy to smooth out, like the almond flour, but it has this sand feel to it. So there's still some texture. So here we have all of our different types of flour. This will be left overnight to dry, and then we will see what they look like. Last thing we're going to experiment with is texture and a little bit of color. We'll see what this ends up looking like, but we have cornflakes, normal cornflakes, and also we have oatmeal. And hopefully this can make cool textures that you might be able to use inside wounds to make things with. I don't know. That's what we're experimenting. First up is oats. We're gonna pour in some latex. Gonna mix in some oats. Might even be a great thing if you're making fruit. This is for stuff to put like inside a wound or something. Just gonna let it dry in pieces like this and we'll see what it looks like. Now let's see what the cornflakes can do. Pretty.
It's pretty.
And why are we even trying this, you wonder? Well, because this is something you might even have at home, and if this turns cool, you'll be so happy. So same thing goes here. We're gonna make one piece that hopefully will hold itself together once we get it off, when it's dry, and then we have little pieces that might work as chunky, fleshy parts. For this last experiment, we're using food coloring. This one is red. And I'm just going to drop a little bit in there, and we'll see how this translates into our latex paste. Just a few drops. Mixing in some wheat flour. I'm not gonna make a pink wound, I'm just gonna make chunky pieces that will hopefully look cool and textury and stuff. So the most interesting part with this is seeing what this color will look like once it's dry. So now we're done with all the different types of latex paste, and we will leave this to dry. When it comes to drying time, usually we leave it overnight. If we've made something that is thicker, we wait an extra couple of days just to make sure that it's really cured all the way through. I'm excited to see what this looks like, and I hope you are too. So we'll check back in a second or two.
The shout goes to Maze FX, a pretty new account, but there is a lot of awesome stuff for a 14-year-old, so check that out.
So we are back and everything is dry, so let's see how things turned out, because I'm excited about this. I am super happy with the texture test that we have. We have the oatmeal, the cornflakes, and the coloring of the regular latex paste. I feel like they're super cool. They have a really cool texture, both of these. The cornflakes is kind of like the bark of a tree, or like even if it's not a pattern, it's kind of like a reptile thing. I don't know, you tell me, but this is super cool. I really like this one, and you can also hear it kind of like crack a little bit when you bend it. This one's a little bit like tiny gravel or stones, I think. I think I'm gonna take these off and look at them real close, and then we're gonna cover them in some blood and see what they look like. Ugh. For this paste, we use a red food coloring to make this little kind of dusty pink, almost a little bit red, I don't know, color. It was very light pink when I first mixed it, so it definitely got darker once it cured. I definitely think using a food coloring like this is a great idea if you already know what color you're going to make your mold into, and if it's fleshy like this with this kind of texture, it can be kind of hard to color it or to paint it afterwards. So this would definitely make your life easier if it's red from the start. So we're taking this apart. Blah. Spraying some blood into this, just a little bit. So I'm not exactly sure what they look like, but they definitely look disgusting and could be really cool to use inside wounds and other stuff, or just like exploded body parts or something. I don't know, but I think this is a pretty cool texture, both the cornflakes and the oatmeal. And now what we've all been waiting for, the latex paste prosthetics. So this is our go-to latex paste, which was made with our fine grain wheat flour. And I have to say that this one is a little bit harder to mix compared to the other ones, as this one tends to get lumpy if you put too much in at the same time of the flour. But it's definitely very easy to work with once it's mixed, and you get this really super smooth surface. As it is this super smooth, it hasn't really got any texture, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing, because it would be great if you're making like an alien, sea creature, something that needs very, very polished and soft skin. Onto the whole grain flour, just feeling it, it's got a little bit of a bumpy texture, but not at all as bumpy as I thought it would be. Compared to the first one, this has a great texture inside. This is not at all smooth, it's very bumpy, there's a lot of things happening. I really like the inside, it's got a very, very rough texture. This one is darker to the color, and this would also be great if you're making like a zombie with more of a gray damaged skin. Moving on to the latex paste, where we use the rice flour. This is a personal favorite, definitely. I think we're gonna continue using this one when I'm making things that's supposed to look like skin, because this has a very skin-like texture, I have to say. If you look closely, you can see like small pores and easy to shape at the same time, as it's got these little holes and blemishes and lines. So I think this is the most skin-like paste. And it was super easy to mix. There was no lumps, super easy to smooth out, super easy to shape. Definitely gonna use this one. This is the corn flour. As you can see, it's super yellow, still light in color, so you can color it, but it is very, very yellow. It's got pretty much the same type of texture as the rice flour paste, but it is a little bit more rough. I feel like it's kind of the same as a freshly shaved chin of like a guy. A little bit bumpy, but no big bumps. This last prosthetic is made out of the almond flour, and it's got the most rough texture. I don't really know how to explain the texture of this one. It looks kind of like sand. It's a little bit like chicken skin, maybe Max said. I'm confident that if you mix some of this one or some of the corn flour into the rice flour, you can mix your own texture and get like the exact result you want. Let's wrap this up by saying all of them worked out great. You just need to find the one that suits your project. Let us know if you try any of these out or if you've tried a different mix that worked out well for you. I'm super excited to hear about all of your creations. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.